Life got you down? Things not working out the way you thought they would? We'll explore what that's like today on the Manspace.
Welcome to the Manspace podcast. We're your hosts, Doctors Matt Brown and Rob Porter, and clinical therapist Mike Porter.
Welcome, Spacemen. I don't know why I'm holding my ears. I realized partway through the intro that I was...
Make sure you hear yourself.
Right, to make sure I can hear myself.
Dude, it's the old singer thing.
Which honestly, like I would watch kids do that like in high school choir and stuff.
Like without any audio in their ear, they do it?
Yeah, like when they were singing, they would like cup their ear like this.
What?
And it always made me self-conscious because I thought, am I off key? Like, are you doing that so that you don't hear me?
They're not singing by themselves. They're singing next to somebody and trying to
block like in the choir. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they would do that. And so I thought, so am I off key? Is that why you're doing it? And so like, I remember a couple of times, you know, like,
I guess I should be doing it too.
I'm like, am I supposed to hear something when I do this? Like, what is happening right now?
That is weird. I don't even know why people do it. Like you see people do it when they've got, you know, they're in a recording studio or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what that does. Gives you a deeper sense of your own vibrations. I don't know.
Well, there are so many things that I think people do just because we've seen it done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, yeah, probably someone somewhere, like it was bad audio. And so they were pushing it so that they could hear it better. And everyone's like, oh, is that what you do? You just put it on one ear, have the other ear free, and you push to make sure you get it all. Because all this does for me, I can hear it reverberating in my head.
Dude, that totally reminds me, as you're talking about that, the book we were debating about was it was the one we picked, or Collective Illusions.
And
that's there's so much
in there,
that type of stuff,
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, shoot.
I think we'll do it at some point, but one of the things that fascinated me was I think it was either liver or kidney donation list. But basically, if you were at the top of the list and got it offered to you and you couldn't, you know, maybe it was like a schedule. I don't know anybody who's going to be like waiting for a liver and like, sorry, got something else going on that
Now's
day.
not a real good time.
Right,
I got a trip to the Bahamas next week.
Yeah, but if they pass it up for any reason, and I think maybe they mentioned like maybe the person was too sick at that point, maybe they were already beyond, and so they turned it down and said, hey, give it to somebody else. But as soon as it's been turned down once, and the book talked about how the next donor knew that was the case, but I can't remember how. But basically, if it had been turned down, they're like, I don't want it. Like, it's a perfectly good organ, but they're like, nope, someone else didn't want it.
You know, it's still in that guy's body, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So many things that we do because who knows why.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a super interesting, like, I don't know, I was talking to some clients about it this morning, this idea of like wanting to feel justified or wanting to, you know, like have where I think, yeah, for that person, it's just like, well, no, there must be something wrong with it because they turned it down.
Yeah.
And so I don't want it. I don't want the defective liver, as though my liver is not defective. And that's why I'm on this list. But yeah, like
it's got to be a weird situation too, because it's like the same thing with groceries, right? Where they just throw out stuff that's still good, and like some places have had to, like up in the Northwest where my family lives, they were talking about people would dumpster dive afterwards because it's perfectly good food.
Yeah, but
because the store didn't want to be sued, they would like dump bleach all over the top of it. So I just wonder, some medical facility, are they just dumping good livers out in the trash? What do they
pour bleach on it? Yeah. We don't want anyone digging that liver out.
Touch this.
Oh, I don't know. We're weird. People are weird.
Yeah. Dude, I got my family hooked on darts.
Do you?
I bought. There's a guy that that is in the pickleball group that I don't go to as much as I should on Saturday mornings, but he ruptured his Achilles tendon.
So no pickleball for him for a while.
Pickleball. So I was like, dude, I'll get one of those portable dartboard, like on a tripod thing.
Yeah.
So I bought one. It had like super high ratings, but dude, the board, like the darts wouldn't even stick in it.
Are you kidding?
It was like rubber. Like it wasn't like the bristle dartboards. So, so I ordered another one. Oh my gosh, dude. I think do you have a Viper?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So that's the one that came with my cabinet thing, but I already had this one and I like this one better. So I kept this. Yours did not, from what I remember, did not have this issue, but I opened, it's like totally cellophane wrapped and has like even those silica dry packs in it.
Yeah.
I open it and like immediately I'm hit with this like rotting garbage, like foot smell. I'm like, what the crap? And so on the back of the board, there was a stain and I smelled the stain. I'm like, oh my gosh, it smells like puke and garbage. And so, but I mounted it on that tripod thing and we started playing and they were getting way into it. But man, every time we'd go up to get our darts, we're like, oh! And so I ordered another one and I was like, maybe this one just sat in some nasty fluids while they're, I don't know, at the warehouse or something.
Yeah.
But I got another one. I'm like, feet, still smells like feet. Like, I don't know what it is about I got rid of the pukey garbage smell on the back. I put like baking soda and Lysol.
Have you tried like cologne?
We tried Febreze. Then I just let like water and baking soda soak on the back overnight, and that absorbed a bunch of it. And then I sprayed Lysol. So that smell's gone, but the front, I don't know what it is about the material, but it literally smells like feet. So anyway, but we have to have it lower. So it's like, I don't know, maybe a couple feet lower than regulation.
Than what you know, yeah.
But my wife, who's never played darts really other than a few times up here, beat me. My daughters like hold their own. I'm like, geez.
Dang.
And then I come back here and I'm like beating the computer on the app, and I'm like, the height difference it's so weird throwing like down.
Yeah.
But super happy because everybody got way into it. So now we got something else we can do together.
Well, I was trying to think of like, cause I have a cabinet. Like when Jenna and I were first married, she bought me a dartboard with cabinet, and the board itself doesn't have the wire like thing on it.
Like the points?
Yeah. And so it super drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Because you'll throw it and you have to get up really close and inspect because there's no wire to say, no, it's on the line.
Oh.
And so.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like the wires in between.
Yeah. So there's none of that. So it drives me nuts. And I was like, but I was just thinking about like a lot of the dudes that live up here, like they are people that like want to do things. And I'm like, yeah, but I like the kind of stuff that you guys want to do. It's not my thing necessarily. Right. Like, and so I was like, there's gotta be something. I thought, oh, I'll bet I could get guys throwing darts.
Yeah.
Just have like a, like a weekly, come, let's throw darts.
Yeah.
Bring a snack to share and we'll, have a darts competition or something.
I was going to say, when I mentioned it to a couple of the guys that play pickleball, they were like, oh yeah. Like, because we're oftentimes rotating through and it's like, yeah, when you're on the bench, come throw some darts.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's a short version of golf in my opinion. Because you do have like, it's slow enough pace that you talk about stuff, but yeah, still doing something.
But you're still doing something.
But that's for next week.
When we get into the mandate stuff.
But I did make a really cool discovery.
Yeah.
Not about that, but about another book. So when I started my degree, I think an aunt maybe mentioned that that my great uncle, so her uncle, had been some sort of therapist or something. But like, other than that, I didn't know anybody, that had done anything like that. Pretty much everybody in my family has had like some form of like trade job. And so like I always felt kind of like the odd man out, like not really like
right.
I get along with all of them, but they can all talk about work and stuff and what they do, and they can all like help each other in a lot of ways, build something together. Like I've got a brother-in-law that's an electrician, and like they've worked on stuff together. And so anyway, recently, when was this? This was last fall. My grandma passed away. So my grandpa had passed, I think 20 years before that.
Oh, dang.
And, but it was his brother that was the counselor. So we're like in my grandma's house, this house that I would go to every summer, and growing up in Southern California. And so everybody's kind of like going through the stuff, seeing like, do you want to take anything? And I find the book that this guy wrote. I'm like, no way. So
he wrote a book?
He wrote a book, and in 1963, and it was published by Deseret Book. So I was like, well, that's interesting. And it's The Art of Counseling. It's out of print now, but it's like a super thorough kind of step by step, like this is how therapy works. And like, it's like an eclectic approach to kind of basic skills in therapy. But it's written like to church leadership, so that they could kind of
know how to help
be trained therapists, but just
know how to
integrate,
do something more than say, have you prayed?
Yeah.
And
so I knew about that, since last fall, but then I was like, I can't remember how I came across this. I found this dissertation about like opinions about therapy, I think, in the church over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that like 1963, there was kind of, a lot of negative opinions about like, we don't need therapy. And then the prophet at the time kind of came out with this is how people are helped, and therapy's kind of, he didn't say like therapy's bad, but it was kind of like, we don't need it.
Yeah.
And then this book was published like at right about that same time by Deseret Book, which kind of signals like some approval.
Yeah.
So he kind of like was the pioneer for like bridging
the shift of how we see it,
therapy and church stuff, and didn't come at it like really from an oppositional viewpoint, but was more like, hey, like these things go together, and here's how, as a leader in the church, you can integrate some of this stuff. So
some of this stuff.
In my master's program, I met, so his last name is Chudy.
Mm-hmm.
That's my mom's maiden name. And I met, when I was at BYU, I met Joey Chudy that was in the MFT program at Utah State. And I'm like, dude, we have to be related somehow.
Yeah,
because his grandson.
With a last name like that.
Yeah. It was his grandson. So I'm like, that line, probably was more kind of steeped in that. Like his dad was a colonel in the Army or Navy and did some organizational psychology stuff. And it just made me feel super connected to something, because I'm like, man, like, okay, like I do have somebody that I share something with, and I'm not just this lone therapist, in this line that have been like amazing, tradesmen for a long time. Like when I talked to my dad about like, I looked to this uncle, and my brother, I looked to my dad for, I've always kind of felt like, who am I looking to? I got to just look to my mentors around me and stuff. But yeah, it's been super cool to see specifically that too, where I feel like right now in my career, I'm aligning a lot more with like the intersection of spirituality and psychology. And so anyway, cool little discovery to help me feel more connected to another man in my life who I've never met. But
it is interesting to me how much we seek that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I was just talking to the kid who actually is kind of driving our topic today, but I was talking to him about, like wanting external validation, and that's pretty normal to want external validation. But the thing you're talking about is different to me. Like, it's not like you're confident in what you do. Like you don't need that validation. It's just that want we have to feel connected to something more, to not, like part of this topic today. I'm like, well, I don't want to be, me and my client. I don't want us to be the only two that deal with this kind of thing. Like, yeah, how there's just those times where it's like, no, I just want to know it's not just me.
Yeah.
That I'm not just kind of, like you said, this weird one-off in this family of highly skilled craftsmen and tradespeople. Yeah. I don't know. Have you read that book yet?
Not the whole thing. I've just read bits and pieces because it is like really kind of nuts and bolts, which is really cool. It's a really good how-to.
Right, but not necessarily a quick read.
No, and it's he's got a lot of good examples of conversations between like a therapist and a client, but there's like, it's dense for that time, especially. Like, man, like he covers problems, well, like a working theory of counseling, and then problems appropriate for church counseling, selecting the proper counseling techniques, normal development for like child stuff, then premarital guidance, marital counseling, educational vocational guidance, counseling the aged. So it covers a lot, but yeah, like super intelligent guy. When you read it, it's like, man.
Is he like, what was his degree in? Do you know?
He was a psychologist. And I'm trying to remember if it says anything about where he did his. I think he did his schooling in UC Berkeley, and then he was an associate professor at Utah State.
Okay,
so
because MFT didn't come about until
like the 70s,
late 70s, early 80s, right? Yeah.
It was always kind of like a sub field of psychology, but
right.
Yeah,
but didn't really take off on its own until yeah. And that's like, I mean, like I can kind of see where the church was coming from with that kind of thing, because psychiatry gets into some psychiatry and psychology, like they both of them kind of get into some. I mean, it's why I ultimately ended up choosing marriage and family therapy as opposed, because I considered getting a master's in psychology. But yeah, I didn't like the focus on self as the root of all problem. So anyway, so what time is it? Do you have a client today? You have a 3 o'clock?
At 3? No, I don't, but
well,
I think we can cover this one.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know, it feels like a light topic. Well, ish. So here's my wonderment. I don't know, we've probably talked about it some aspect before, but I was talking to a kid who deals with some, more severe diagnoses, in terms of, like we're beyond generalized anxiety disorder and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of said yesterday that he was feeling a little bit discouraged because, he was watching friends around him get married and start getting into serious relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been an area that he's struggled with, some of it because of the things he deals with related to mental health and his diagnoses. And so it's like he's just been kind of discouraged about life not really, like it's not what he expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought I would be at this point in my life and be dating and doing that stuff. And he's like, and I'm not, and it's not necessarily my fault that I'm not. Like he does go on dates and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he's sitting at home, but when he said it to me, like it just happened to kind of coincide with we had gone to watch my daughter perform in her choir concert. And they performed at one of the local Catholic churches here. It was really cool because the acoustics were freaking rad. And I had done something similar in high school. I performed at a Catholic cathedral in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, one of the most moving singing experiences I'd ever had. Anyway, so it got me, I went looking for something and I ended up on Facebook, and this is why I don't go on social media, but I ended up on Facebook and I was looking for this picture, and I knew that a friend of mine from high school had it posted at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know where, and I'm not on Facebook enough to know like if there's even a search function where I could have searched for a specific post. I don't know. So I'm just sitting here scrolling through what turned out to end up being like probably almost 5 years worth of 5 years worth of
posts for this dude.
And I mean, like logically, I know exactly what social media is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Social media is not an accurate depiction of any individual's life.
Yeah.
It's an accurate depiction of curated moments of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In particular, this guy had, hey, here's me, performing like this a cappella group that I was a part of in the guy, not me, I wasn't a part of it. That I was a part of in high school is having a reunion show and we're doing this, and oh look, we're singing in London with the London Philharmonic Orchestra, and we're performing with this guy, and here's this thing that's happening, and here we are in Hawaii, and here we are at Disneyland, and here we are, and I'm sitting here, and I'm not like actually stopping to necessarily read a bunch of the posts, like some captions and whatnot, but like that's the most of it. I'm just mostly just kind of looking. So all of this is happening in the space of like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I got on feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
By the time I found the picture that I was looking for, I had hit a pretty wicked low. Like, and the weirdest part is I felt it happening. Like I knew it was happening.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't notice this crap until after, and then I'm like, oh,
why do I feel so bad about myself?
Yeah. But this one, I like watched it, and the further I went, the deeper I got.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of sitting there. The next morning I woke up and was going through, my morning routine crap, showering and whatever. And I just remember thinking, I don't think my life is what I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before anyone who knows me is just like, hey dude, are you okay? Like, Yeah, I'm fine. Like I love, and particularly Jenner, if you're listening.
I'm not like, why did I marry her?
Right. Like
Yeah.
it's nothing. Like I don't regret my children. I don't regret, like none of that stuff. Like that stuff is not on the table. But I looked at it and I thought I'm almost 48. I'm, 5.5 years graduated from my master's program. So I'm 5.5 years into a brand new career at 48.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, I recently, I don't own my home. I recently moved to a state where I know exactly nobody. Restarted my business. Kid who doesn't really talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, looking and walking by every day because it's, Christmas time. And so there's all of the Christmas cards and look at us and, pictures of missionaries and pictures of families outside of temples and celebrating marriages and all of these things, and just realizing that's not, like, I thought that was going to be me.
Yeah.
I thought by this age I would have a son who had come home off a mission and had a couple of kids married and it wasn't. Like, that's not, and here's part of the tricky thing. And then I'll get to my wondering. One of the things that's tricky is if you had asked me 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Yep. If you'd asked me 30 years ago when I was 18, I wouldn't have known what I wanted to do for a living. I knew that I wanted to go on a mission. That's as far as it went. I knew that after my mission, I would get married and have a job and a career, but I didn't up until that point in my life, my focus had pretty much been on going on a mission. And so I hadn't really thought past it. And even once I got married, I went through, I don't know how many different majors in college. I came freakishly close to going to law school. I almost went to Rutgers to go to law school and didn't want to live in New Jersey. So it's not like I had any real clear expectations to begin with. And I also recognize that some of it is, again, I'm seeing a curated life on Facebook. So, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But some of it, was just like I moved right before my senior year. And so some of the things that I saw were things that were missing for me because I had moved. Experiences that if I'd been there, I'd have been part of that group. I'd have been part, I'd have been in there doing that stuff, and I wasn't. And so my wondering is, I was talking to my client and trying to reassure him, trying to reassure him, dude, you're 20, don't worry about it. I'm not sure at this point in your life you should be worried about the fact that you're not married yet. You're 20. But I realized, what do you do with that kind of thing? Is this, I don't know, is this something you've experienced? Surely you've had clients who've dealt with it. What do you do with this kind of thing?
You ask me as though I have the answer.
Well, I mean,
but I guess I can just tell you my
you're
journey
Matt,
with it.
So I pretty much trust you on stuff. So
no, I mean, everything you shared is like first, I think it's awesome that you just opened up and talked about that, because I think we have those conversations, especially with other men, when we're in a really trusted, usually small group, setting. Like I just had lunch with, we call it the Brownslers lunch. It's like me and 2 other therapists, but it's been really cool because we like one of the guys, this kid, has been going through cancer treatment, and the other guy is like same as you, just even newer, I guess, like just starting his counseling degree after like dealing with addiction for a lot of years, and then being a stay-at-home dad for a long time, and we're all, you know, in the thick of raising kids, and it's like we sit down and it's like, hey, what's going on? And there isn't any like, hey man, you know, I've got here's the Facebook version of my life or the Instagram version of my life. It's like, so I think that's critical too. Like you were saying, you're not alone. I think that how you handle it is you talk about it openly with guys that you trust that are not. I think there are some guys who would be like, I don't know what to do with that, or well, dude, if you would just do this and blah blah blah, or
they would go to like problem solving.
You know, I don't know. Sometimes maybe one up you on their successes. Who knows? But yeah, having a trusted group of guys or friend that you can talk to about it, I think normalizes it a bit, because I think we don't even say it, right? Like, it's awesome that your client is expressing it, but yeah, he's 20, so it's like that's going to happen to you about 2,000 more times before you're dead, probably, and all of us, right? But I've felt it for sure at different times, like even as you're talking, there's part of me that just feels like, why haven't I written a book yet?
Yeah.
And so as you were talking, I'm doing the mental math on like my great uncle. I'm like, dude, he was 38 when he wrote this. What crap's wrong with me? I'm 45, right? So, I think about, for me, I guess the moments that have stood out the most have been not, I don't know that I could name consistent categories that guys fall into here, but I think for sure one of them is I haven't achieved the status that guy has, right? So maybe that's kind of the book thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's always like the question that has always come up for me is more like one of intelligence. Like, why can't I figure life out like that guy's figured it out?
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily even, I wouldn't mind the house that guy lives in or the car he drives, right? But that wouldn't be the thing that I would feel super happy about. It'd be like, oh, I figured out how to have a life that feels like I want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I mean, same thing, Lisa, and anybody else listening. Like, it's not that type of thing. It's more like, like, you know, why haven't I figured out how to, like, I don't know, just have things organized in my life the way that I desire, or, you know, I don't know. It does. I guess it does tie to material things, but not in the same way. It's more like, how come I can't figure out how, like, the game of life, basically, right? And but I do think that more recently, I don't know that I even sought this out, but like intentionally, I think it kind of has started to happen for me, and now I feel like that's the direction I want to head. Like the idea that I mean, it's a simple idea, I guess, that none of this stuff really matters ultimately, right? And I think that's one that we throw around a lot. But I think on a deeper level, my attachments to all of it, when I really get down to the root of it, I really do want to continue to develop my intelligence and my knowledge and my experience. And I do want to deepen my relationships and prioritize them. And then everything else, if I can continue to identify the weird insecurity or attachment linked to it for me and separate out from it, the tangible impact is that in the moment when there's that sting of I'm behind, or I haven't figured this out, or I'm less than, I can feel like less of a pull in those moments now than I did like a year ago. And that's not to say I've nailed it, right? But I think I can feel, that this is making a tangible difference in my day-to-day experience with certain things that used to like spike the spiral you're talking about, right? Where it's like, oh man, I feel super insecure. And then I hear things like like my wife and I would talk about, if she would say anything, like complain about anything about the house, automatically it's like, I'm failing. I should be providing a better house. I should be, and like I would just go in the spiral and get really negative and like not enjoy the things that are there, But then you have experiences that contrast that, like during Hurricane Harvey when we were going out and mucking out houses, and then you get to come home to like a dry, intact house, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? Like, I think our point of comparison is always a huge factor in how we experience moments like this, but I do think, like on a deeper kind of spiritual level, just recognizing like all of this falls away, right? Even if you're just looking at it like we all die, right?
Right.
Like, how often do I allow myself to really contemplate, like, this matters now, and it does matter. It's not that making money and eating and all that stuff doesn't matter, but do I have a felt sense of like release and detachment from those things on a regular basis? But I do think that that's like a second half of life experience.
Yeah.
To tell a 20-year-old that,
right.
I'm like, not the time, man. You really do have to kind of establish yourself and like make sure that you can take care of yourself in this life while you're alive, on Earth. and you do have to pay attention to a lot of things that ultimately don't bring you satisfaction, but they do sustain life.
Right. But I do think too, because like as you were talking, my thought was, initially my thought was, it's not the material things. It's the, have I not fulfilled my potential?
Yeah.
Right. And I shared in a previous episode that philosopher who said, his fear isn't that he wasn't another Moses. His fear wasn't that he wasn't an Abraham. His fear was that he wasn't the best, that when he dies, God is going to say, why didn't you, or why weren't you the version of you that I gave you the potential for?
Mm-hmm.
And so initially, as you were talking, like my thought was like, but what if I'm just like missing my potential? Like, I'm a good writer. I don't write.
Mm-hmm.
I've wanted to write a book my entire life. I've wanted to write articles for years.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do with them, because the kind of articles I would write, no one's going to publish in a magazine, but I still want to write them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. And so my initial thought was, what if it's my potential? But the more I sat here, I realized, that's not my concern here. That's not that's not what led me to to the emotions I was dealing with. What it wasn't how I felt about where I was at. It was how others perceived. It was the realization that as I'm looking at these things, these were people that as I was in high school with them, thought, well, Mike is going to have this kind of life. Mike is going to do this, and he's going to do that. And I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, even just there, realizing what you were saying, like, oh yeah, my issue was more how others would perceive me. And that is something that at any age, I think we can learn to let go of.
Yeah.
To learn to shift it, to say, no, it doesn't matter if Greg, Greg, you don't listen to our podcast, because I think, I have a podcast, so it doesn't matter. But That's the high school friends Facebook page I was on. It doesn't matter if Greg thought Mike was going to do X, Y, and Z, and I didn't. It matters. Can I look and say, what do I say about where I am?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. I would never want Jenner listening to this to think that I had even a moment of regret for our relationship, because I do not.
Yeah.
And if having some of the things that I felt like I had missed out on or something like that meant giving up Jenner, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like not a chance. But like it is, I don't know. It's a weird learning how to say, well, and I think that what you said was a good, at least for me, it's a good first step for me. Is that reminder of, no, this is all, I mean, in the scheme of things, it's temporary. Someone asked Tom Hanks once, what was something he wished he'd known at the beginning of his career that he had learned since? And he said, I wished I had learned the phrase, this too shall pass. And, immediately the people that he was talking to were like, oh yeah, like all the negative things. And he goes, yeah, and the positive ones. And he goes, the prestige and whatever of winning this award, yeah, it's great, but this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Like everything is going to be ultimately everything that, we'll leave the spiritual aspect, because particularly given our religious beliefs, we know that not everything is like, no, some of the stuff is lasting past this lifetime. But in the aspect of what we're talking about, I think, yeah, like all of these, the trips, the vacations, the albums, the whatever, like, nope, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
At some point, like you found this book, which had a really positive impact on you until the moment where you're like, well, how come I haven't done any, like, right? Yep. And I think,
no, I know, it's like, that's the hard part. Like, why does your mind go to a connection relationally to like a failing achievement, failing some achievement? And I do think that when you're talking about that statement, this too shall pass, I think one of the most helpful concepts that I've tried to focus on a lot more this last year is just the Eastern philosophy idea of non-permanence. And for the same reason that Tom Hanks is saying it, right? It's like maybe he's saying from that, I tended to cling to the positive things, and then I was like horribly disappointed when they went away, instead of recognizing like, I want to embrace this while it's here, and then experience the natural dissipation of it. Or, negative things. I don't want to trap them inside of me, right? I want them to move through me and recognize that they're also temporary, and I don't have to guard against it. That book I was talking to you about before we started, I always like slaughter things that I try and requote, but he said something like suffering is pain for the ego and liberation for the soul. And if you just think body and spirit, right, it's like suffering is the thing that we constantly try to avoid, and almost everything that we do is at some level designed to minimize suffering, even if we're calling it like a pursuit of happiness, right? It's like, I want this thing so that I don't have to feel less than in some way, right? But like the soul's journey is like, the suffering helps me detach from those things because they are temporary, right? And it helps me deepen my connection with the things that really matter, growth and development and relationships and experience, right? And potential. And I think like it surprises me how, as you go into something like we're talking about and you try and work on it, how you go from struggling with it enough that you want to work on it, and then as you work on it, maybe you immediately feel some relief, and then you feel like deeper pain about it than you did before you even started, and then maybe like a higher level of relief and peace, and then an even deeper level of frustration. It starts to feel like you're all over the place, and it's no wonder we don't pursue change like this, because it creates an instability in you as you're working it out. But like just in the last like 2 days, I've felt like at one point, like the most freed up and happy and open, as I could imagine myself feeling. And then yesterday, just like feeling a really sharp shutdown, because there were just tons of things coming at us with kids and things like that. And I remember at the end of the day just feeling like, I just want nobody in my sight, right? And even then, though, I think the thing that I recognized was like, I know how to make this less permanent, right? I know how to like let my body release it a little bit, right? And feel right in that moment like it's not with me as much, right? And I've tried for years to try and like think my way through situations like that, and it's never quite gotten me there. I always feel like that it's almost like that's a tool that I get to pick up when I've done kind of the deeper soul work, and it just strengthens my my momentum in that direction. But it's rough. It is like a lot of big swings, and I don't think anybody's wrong for not wanting to do it that way. I think for a lot of people, it's like, you know what, I'm going to keep it a lot more stable. I'm not going to think too deeply about this. And, those people, I think, have a very happy life and do things the way that works for them. But for me, this is like more meaningful and works better.
Yeah. And that's I do think, like, to me, I pursue it because I want to understand it more.
Yeah.
And to me, if someone doesn't, I think, okay, like that's fine. One thing you said that really stood out was the idea of like, we really try to hold on to these positives far longer than we should. And we try to shun any perceived negative. And the way you phrased it, this idea of just kind of accepting it and letting it move through you. I've tried over the past 5-6 months, and I'm still working with it, to try to learn how to embrace these moments of discomfort and pain and inadequacy, because they're also part of the experience of life. Mm-hmm. Like I think it was actually Chance. Because he's the LCDC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we asked him towards the end of his interview, like, what's a good day to you? And he goes, a good day is when I can experience a full range of emotions. Mm-hmm. And so that, to me, I think, no, all of these things are meant to be experienced. Like, it is the human experience. We're not intended to just live up here. We're not intended to live down here. We're intended to experience all of it. Mm-hmm. And so why do I spend so much time trying to get away from this thing that ultimately, if I let it, will teach me something?
Yeah.
Right? Like sitting here talking to you. And yeah, I had to remind myself a couple of times, like, nope, you're just talking to Matt. Because if I thought too much about the fact that I was going to put this out for people to hear, I probably would have shut up. But, but I just looking at it and recognizing that my discomfort wasn't my own sense of lost potential. It was others perceived, right? Like it was how others would perceive it. And that was eye-opening to me. Like, and so I think, what happens if I try and avoid this? What happens if instead of reminding myself that no, it's a temporary thing, one way or another, I'll get through it. But what will I learn as I get through it? Will I close my eyes to the experience, or will I simply say, well, this is where I am, and take it for what it is?
Right.
I don't know. Do you have a takeaway?
I'm always bad at these.
Me too. Where's Rob, slacker?
Well, I think I would just say, if you are, if you do find yourself in a position where your life isn't what you thought it would be, I think it's worth your time to sit down and really think about what it is that led you to think it was going to be that way and why it needed to be that way. And recognize that as you first start doing that, you're probably going to have a lot of well-defended reasons for why it should be that way. And you'll be kind of in like a bargaining mode with it, right? Like still trying to get it to be that way. And the hard part is, I think some things are worth persisting through, because if you had a really deep conviction that you were going to, reach something, you might just be, experiencing a major setback, and that goal is still worth attaining. And other times you'll realize that this isn't the thing that you set out to become anyway, like you were saying with that quote, and being able to have the courage to let go of those expectations and that part of your ego and pursue something that's more aligned can be a difficult task, but definitely worth it. I think it was Carl Jung that said something about, like, I can't remember the way he phrased it, if it was kind of like the saddest realization or something like that, but it's basically like when you realize that you've been building a ladder, your whole life, but it's propped up against the wrong wall. And it's like it was somebody else's wall, right?
Yeah.
And I do think we can go too far with, like, I'm not going to do anything for anybody else and blah, like that.
Right.
But if you're doing it from like an identity perspective, I have to be this because so-and-so needs that from me or expects that of me, or will think less of me if I'm not. Those are the times to pause and say, I need to exercise some courage here and let go of this expectation or this vision of my life, right, that I told myself I needed to have. Because ultimately, a lot of these things become kind of circular, where it's like, I need to earn this much money so that I can, live in this house, or I can go on these vacations, or I can drive this car, or whatever your thing is, right? So that I can be happy, right? And I do think that there's wisdom in saying, if how you're living and where you're living and the things and the places and all of that are preventing you from doing something that you really enjoy, then go find that happiness there, right? Like make the transition, do the things you need to do to find. And it's not that you can't be happy where you're at, it's just there's something more that you're after, right? But there's also a lot of times where it's like all those things I'm invested in hold the promise of happiness at the end, but I can be happy now. And I might still choose to do those things, but maybe for a very different reason at that point.
Yeah.
And so your ability to feel peace, feel happiness, feel contentment, feel whatever, or just lean more into the life around you. It's better to ask, like, what's keeping me from experiencing that now? Why is this vision of life the only vehicle that my mind has come up with to get me there.
Yeah.
And if you can let go of it, I think I will say at first for me, a lot of that stuff has felt kind of like depression, right? Because it's like, I don't feel bothered anymore by that thing. I don't feel motivated towards it either. So you're kind of in this void where it's like, what am I going to be motivated towards? Because, a lot of the things that used to get me send me into motion right away, I'm like,
yeah, they don't
think
anymore.
So. Yeah.
I like that. For me, I think like I said, a lot of why I kind of suggested this topic today, in part was because I really did not enjoy the feeling.
Yeah.
And wanted to not be the only one who dealt with it.
Mm-hmm. And in your support, I'll give you somebody else who doesn't want to feel it, right? One of the guys I went to lunch with.
Yeah.
I noticed, I'm like, dude, do you have a flip phone? He's like, yep. I was like, when did that happen? He's like, 3 weeks ago, I think. And he's like, I'm done, man. Like, I have my phone for work. It's in the car right now. But he's like, I have felt so liberated.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I gave up. Experience. I gave up a smartwatch and just went back to a watch. Mm-hmm. And that's, ultimately, I think, and we'll actually build on this a little bit more next week when we discuss the book. But finding a group of people, like I knew I could talk, like even if we weren't like doing it for the show, I knew that I could talk to you and Rob if you'd bothered to show up today. But I knew I could talk to you about it. And I knew that I could talk to you in a way that even if you couldn't relate, there wouldn't have been judgment from it. Mm-hmm. And so there is that idea of, finding a group of people, guys in particular, I think, to be able to say like, hey, this is the thing I'm dealing with. And you might be thinking, well, Mike, we don't know how to do that. Well, that's next week's episode. Mm-hmm. So, come back next week and learn how to connect with men in a different way. Sorry, I'm trying not to give the spoiler away. Anyway, join us next week on the Manspace, friends, and maybe Rob will show up next time.